Now, as we are sharing in season 2, we decided to spice things up a little bit on business agenda.
Yes, George, on that note, we'll be taking you from the city
to the jungle.
Yes, indeed. Kickstart the second season of Business Agenda. We are at the Akagera National Park.
And we want to highlight business here at the park and how the country and the community is benefiting from it.
So stay tuned to Business Agenda as we show you the wild, the money, and of course, the animals.
Welcome to Akagera National Park.
And welcome to Business Agenda. Akagera National Park is located on the east of Rwanda. It covers over 2,500 square kilometers of savanna west of Kagera River, which denotes to the frontier with Tanzania, and has a variety of wildlife and over 500 different species of birds, dominated scenically by the labyrinth of swamps and lakes that follow the meandering course of Akagera River, the most remote source of the Nile. This is the olden African savanna landscape of tangled acacia woodland interspersed with open grassland. Akagera is above all big game country. Herds of elephants and buffalo emerge from the woodland to drink at the lakes, while lucky visitors might just stumble across a leopard or a spotted hyena. When we arrived at the Akagera National Park, we were received by a female tourist guide who took us through what happens around the national park.
These herbivorous or carnivorous animals also have aquatic animals. We have got Lake Yema here, Lake Rwanyakizinga, Lake Mihindi, where you'd like to see some hippos, some crocodiles, different species of birds. We have about 525 species of birds.
Akagera National Park has had a troubled past, with refugees from Rwandan's civil wars returning to live in the area in the late 1990s, harming the environment through cattle grazing and poaching. Consequently, the government reduced Akagera by half, allowing the new residents to stay in one part and protecting the rest. In that year, 1934, the park was very big. It was 2,500 square kilometers. So the western part of this park was a hunting zone. The hunting zone was 340 square kilometers. When you look at this park and you use the 340 kilometers squared for hunting, you find that Akagera National Park was more than 1/10, a tenth of the whole of Rwanda. And you know that our country is quite small. People came back after the 1994 genocide perpetrated against the Tutsi in order for all of them to settle. The government of Rwanda saw there was no way they could all fit in one area, so the government cut the western part of this park and had people settle there. Akagera National Park is a comfortable 2 to 3 hour drive from Kigali and can be visited on a long day trip if you're short of time. However, although game densities aren't massively high, it is an exceptionally pretty park with pleasantly few other visitors, so it is worth staying a couple of days to explore it. The only entry to Akagera National Park is via Kayonza Gate in the south, close to the park headquarters, and Akagera's best lodge, Nyungwe Gate in the north, is currently only available to exit this park.
Yeah, we have been to a number of parks across Africa over the last 20 years. And actually, in Mary's case, a little bit longer than that. She was in Zimbabwe in the 80s. And we're always interested in just trying to push a little bit further out into the field. And our experience, we arrived last night and then did a full drive this morning. And this is really untouched. This is wide open territory. Physically, it's very attractive. I think the tourists have to be very sensitive to the needs of the local communities. So I think things are moving in the right direction.
At present, there are only 2 accommodation options in Akagera National Park aside from camping. Ruzizi Tented Lodge opened in 2013 and is close to the main gate to the south. Managed by the African Parks, it is a pretty bush camp on the shores of Lake Ihema.
Ruzizi is a Nico lodge which have 7 tents. It's a tent lodge. It's a first tent lodge which was been built in Rwanda, and I say it's an eco lodge because we use solar power. We use water coming from borehole, and we can up to now have accommodate 14 guests if a tent is occupied by 2 persons. But we have 2 tents under construction, 1 family tent and 1 VIP tent. So in the future we may be able to accommodate almost around 20 persons. And the idea was to help for the tourists who visit Akagera National Park to be able to spend more nights in the park and in the rickshaw and feed, have like a cross connection with the nature, as you can see the environment of the lodge. What I can say, we do have some security issues which was been planned and think because it's fenced by electric fence, and yes, the people can come in, but as you see, to go to the room or to go to the terrace we use boardwalk. So, and because the hippo can't jump up, so when you're to your boardwalk, it's very safe. And the other fences is to help for some like elephant or the other animals to not come in, because like elephant can destroy the boardwalk and whatever. But regarding safety, it's safe, and there is no any problem which I can say can happen to customers.
The other option is the Akagera Game Lodge, currently under restoration.
Primarily 4 years ago we came in, the key goal was to secure the park. And after we've secured the park, the animal numbers have increased. There was a lot of market research, tourists, tour operators were all interviewed in the park and in Kigali. And there was a need, basically they showed a need for something different within Rwanda, within Akagera, somewhere where tourists could stay, the international market could come and spend more than 1 day or just a transient day visit. That income generated stays within the park, stays to operate the park, and it helps us in our sustainability, as that's a key goal of Akagera Management Company, making Akagera sustainable.
Akagera's National Park roads have improved significantly since African Parks came on board, allowing for varied game drives around plains, hills and lakes. They usually take place in the mornings and afternoons, or will take a full day if venturing to the north, with night drives an option for sporting Akagera's nocturnal wildlife. Boat trips along the shores of Lake Ihema, Rwanda's second largest lake, yield some great aquatic bird sightings, including numerous African fish eagles, marabou stork, crowned cranes, open-billed storks, cormorants, herons and egrets, and you can even fish on Lake Shakani.
The tourism numbers are growing now. We have a policy of 5% net goes towards community, what we call revenue sharing funds, where it gets split between 3 districts and is going to different projects such as clinics, schools, dairy milk collection centres and beekeeping and different other eco-friendly projects. Akagera it's a wildlife reserve, it's a park. There will always be a need for food, so people sometimes illegally poach. We're a boundary park, so people try to move in and out of the park. As we're growing, it will be a challenge. Tourism will be a challenge as well. We need to manage the tourism, we need to know how to spread it, and we need to ensure the security of the park.
Because the law was there from beginning, from the day this was a park, which is 1934. But what is different is the facilitation and equipment that we use to facilitate our work. So before it was not easy because there was less resources, less facilitation for law enforcement, which is different today. When I say facilitation, I'm talking of infrastructure, that is law enforcement houses, equipment they use on the field, vehicles, and so on, guns and ammunition. Yeah, here I'm going to show you some of the tools. Though I'm not going to aim at you, but this is how it's done. This is the bow and arrow that poachers use and then kill animals. The sharpness and the strength of this may not kill an animal, but at times they put poison, like snake poison, so that it kills. Even if it touches slightly, just a scratch, an animal will eventually die. It's well built, clean and safe. So we are allowed to hold them for 24 hours at least before we take the police, as we do our investigation, as we do interrogation, and so on, and paper documentation. Yeah. So here, what you see are bicycles and motorcycles that previously have been used, have been arrested, found transporting what is commonly called kabaruka, but in English name it is African sandalwood. An emperor will come and then go through, and then they will take it, yeah, and then it's trapped.
Other challenges are to try and keep ahead of the times and always keep, as you said, customer service, keep attracting tourists. We want this park to be self-sustainable and an attraction for Rwandans and the international market. Since we've been here in the 4 years, the prime goal in the 4 years is to secure Akagera through law enforcement, to build infrastructure, roads, etc. And to be able to build, you need staff, employment. At present, we're employing over 250 local staff for building, road maintenance, for the fencing team. So benefiting through tourism itself right now, it's not 100% there, but they're benefiting through employment, which is critical. It's money in individuals' pockets.
I
started working here on the 30th May 2011. It is of benefit that we live near the national park, and all those living around here are happy. So, whatever does not go right, they report it to the national park authorities. They then visit the area to see if it was destroyed, maybe by animals. And they are compensated. Most of the things that we use here are from within, like tiles, sticks, stones. We get them from the village around this area. The residents get money from selling the items to the park.
A great cormorant, another one have a long neck, it's called African darter. Have a nest here because it's very safe to know anything can attack it. But if you have heavy winds, so sometimes the nest throw in the water, if you have a baby, it means that a crocodile eat you. But if they put the poop down in the water, it means that the fish get the food. And also that birds can make fishing, can eat a fish. So ecosystem taking place.
The park has been split into different zones: wildlife zone, high tourism density zone, low tourism density zone. In the north, we're hoping to get concessionaires. By that we mean very professional tourism operators, wildlife operators, such as the wildernesses, the Singitas, the Grumetis in other parts of Africa, to identify they want to develop within Akagera. They build and operate lodges here, and the park gets a concession fee out of that. Again, a step further to the sustainability of the park.